All right, everybody's going to wonder what's going to happen with Giannis. And, obviously the lottery was a big thing, but it took about 12 hours for the Mavericks to decide Cooper Flagg was going to be the pick. So the focus now in the Giannis situation is the number 2 pick, which was gotten by the San Antonio Spurs. Do the Spurs look to make a package offer for Giannis, or do they look to move it to another player to another team in this draft? There's a lot of interest in the number 2 pick in this draft. This will be where the draft is really decided, and Giannis will have a play in that as well.
And then the Warriors.
So, Warriors offseason began yesterday, and not what they were looking for. There's a lot of focus on what they can do because you know that they are always star hunting. Well, Jonathan Kuminga is going to play a big role here. He is a restricted free agent. Greeny, there is no money out there. There's only one team with significant cap space right now. That is the Brooklyn Nets. That means if Kuminga's going to get paid somewhere else in Golden State, it's probably going to be in a sign and trade. So the Warriors may look to do business that way, or they may look to re-sign Kuminga, although Kuminga's relationship with Steve Kerr is a little bit fraught, to say the least. So Kuminga holds the pathway to see if the Warriors can make a significant deal this offseason.
So he may not be, or he is not, however, the voice that everyone wants to hear from in Golden State. That was Steph Curry, whose injury in Game 1 completely changed that series and ended any chance Golden State had. He was asked yesterday if this team is looking at a 2-year window, and this is what he said.
Yeah, our contracts are all me, Draymond, Steve, Jimmy, all 2 years, and we want this ride to last as long as possible, but it's just about what does this team need for next year, answering those questions over the summer. And I'm excited about it because there's clarity, although there are a lot of decisions that need to be made.
Okay, so with the very first decision, so we're sitting here thinking, oh no, the great Steph Curry. We've seen him on the biggest stage for the final time. And look, I'm a sentimental at heart. I want to see Steph Curry get one more run at this, and Jay Will knows exactly how he can do it.
All I'm going to say is I hear a lot of stories about what Milwaukee needs back as relates to trade value. But for Giannis. But there is a world in which Giannis says, I want to be a part of this team. Make it happen. That reality could be applicable to Steph and Curry in these two gravities that they have that can play off each other and be extremely complementary. There is a world in which Butler, I'm not sure exactly how they do it, but where Giannis says, I want to be in Golden State and I want to play alongside Steph Curry because our games work properly together in the Western Conference.
Yes, there is a package that the Warriors could use. They have some future draft picks. They have interesting young players. Like last year, Brandon Podziemski was off limits. Who knows if that's going to be the case this year. But they can't win a bidding war. First off, I just want to say, Giannis has not let it be known he certainly wants out in Milwaukee. So I do not think we should assume that. If we do reach that point where Giannis would want to look around, he will have agency in this. He has 2 years left on his contract. The Bucks don't have to listen to him. But if he were to come to Milwaukee and say, I want to play with Steph, there could be a deal worked out. The same would apply, in my view, to the Knicks or the Lakers.
Agreed, yes.
If he says, I want to be a Knick, send me to New York, or I want to be a Laker, these are big ifs, those trades could get worked out. But if it's just an open market, none of those three teams, in my opinion, could win a bidding war with the Bucks.
But by the way, Giannis would never say publicly, I want to be a part of this team. That would happen extremely privately. He is a guy that wants to be everything to all people. That's his brand. And his whole open-mindedness is on par with how he thinks about the world.
I think the brand is shifting. You know, the first few years in the league, he was the jokester. He was the troll guy. Have you seen how serious Giannis has comported himself as of late? I like it, because that's the maturation. You mentioned a couple of teams, Knicks, Lakers, Warriors, Rockets, and again, I think it's very important to note that no one has indicated that Giannis doesn't want to be in Milwaukee. Like, it's doing due diligence to check to see if the grass is greener or not. But if you think about Golden State, to me, we were talking about how when Giannis used to linger on the court, oh my gosh, could you imagine those two together? It could work. He's 30 years old. He has to be surrounded with shooting. To me, you look at certain teams in Texas, you look at certain teams, like you said, in New York, you have to have your shooter. Steph is the best. Steph is literally the best. So if we're adding teams, like last week, I was on your program, Vinny, and I was advocating for my Houston Rockets. I could advocate for the Golden State Warriors. The Jimmy Butler experience is great, but it does not solve all their problems. Truly, the center is the issue, and Giannis is the modern, quote-unquote, center with ball handle and can get downhill at the rim. So I'm not mad at that.
The Giannis of it all is so interesting because, to your point, he doesn't want what happened to LeBron the first time he left Cleveland, what happened to Dwight Howard when he left Orlando. He doesn't want to be hated. He doesn't want the KD thing either.
He can't be, though, because, yeah, he brought the championship.
He brought them a title. But look, I mean, if you so it's one thing to say, I brought the city a title. We'll work out a trade together that sort of benefits both sides. It's another thing if he goes in there and says, nope, I want to go to Golden State. And if it means you don't get the best package back and your team stinks for the next 5 years, that's not my problem. That's the position that he would be putting them in, and that's where things can get ugly.
Right, which is why I just think it's to point out, like, if you're asking, can the Warriors get Giannis? The answer is yes. But. And it's the but that is going to be a big thing that's going to define this offseason.
Okay, we'll leave that one there for the moment because we also
the line for Game 6. I had some testing to do, and who knows how that would have went because I hadn't gone live since Game 1. And first time dealing with this injury, I was pretty optimistic, but there were a couple more check points to get through. But all we wanted was a chance and to finish the year like we did and, you know, to sneak in the playoffs, win that first round. Like, there's a lot to be proud of, for sure, considering where we were, but definitely disappointed and, frankly, just sad that I wasn't out there able to play. So we'll imagine and believe that we could have won everything, you know, had we been healthy, but the chance and to finish the year like we did and, you know, to sneak in the playoffs, win that first round, like, there's a lot to be proud of, for sure, considering where we were, but definitely disappointed and, frankly, just sad that I wasn't out there able to play. So we'll imagine and believe that we could have won everything, you know, had we been healthy, but you move on.
All right, UD, I'm going to start with you. I'm going to ask you the question everyone is asking today. How far would this Warriors team have gone if Steph was healthy?
Same results. Nothing would have been different. I think they probably go to 6 or 7 games, maybe. Steph was definitely balling before he got hurt. I think 13 points in that first quarter. But I don't think you could expect a Steph to go for 40 or 50 all 6 or 7 of those games. So I think you have the same results if Steph plays in that game. They need a center. They need more scoring. They just need a couple different things. But it's the same result for me. I think they definitely go out at 6 or 7. Like Perk said, man, Anthony Edwards is on a mission, man. Them boys ain't slowing down, man. And they got one goal in mind, and that's the championship.
Perk, let me ask you this. I thought UD brought up a good point about the center, something you know a lot about, playing that position. This league has gotten bigger and more dynamic at those positions. Is he right? What do you think about the Warriors at that position?
No, they definitely need a center, but Draymond Green, and since we're in Cali, where you at, homie? Where you at, homie? Like, I'm just being real here. We talk about since Steph went out Game 2, one could argue that he was trying to get ejected. Game 3, he gave him absolutely nothing. Game 4, absolutely nothing. Game 5, absolutely nothing. And I don't expect Draymond to go out there and get 15 to 20 points. That's not what he do. Right. Steve Kerr said that Draymond is the best defender he's ever seen. Steve Kerr played with Dennis Rodman. Julius Randle shot over 50% when Draymond Green was guarding him. We know Draymond Green to impact, show emotions,